2AY. Now, in an Australian first, we're proud to do the same on the country's best netball courts. Welcome to O&M Live Netball on
And your mics are live.
2AY.
Hello and welcome to O&M Live Netball, kindly brought to you by McRae Motors. My name is Ree Dolahenti. We bring to you today the preliminary final of the Ovens and Murray Netball League. In just over an hour, we will know who keeps their premiership's hopes alive, making it through to this year's grand final, and will take on the Yarrawonga Pigeons, who booked their spot last week. Our game today is at Bunton Park in North Albury, and we see the minor premiers in the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos taking on the Wangaratta Magpies, finishing in fourth, and both teams have nothing to lose today. As always, a big welcome to today's broadcast to Mara Matthews. We are in for a treat today.
We are, Ree. Absolutely. We're here. Second last game of the year, and I can't believe we've got this far, actually.
It feels like yesterday that it was April, and then all of a sudden we're here. And joining us today, thanks to Insight Injury Clinic, is Tina Way, coach of the Myrtleford Alpine Saints. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Great job last week. We'd like to begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we broadcast from today, the Wiradjuri people, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and extend this respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today, listening on the airwaves and tuning into our live stream. Well, we've got 2 weeks to go, a preliminary final today, and the sun is starting to shine, but I think there may still be a few patches of rain on the horizon.
Yeah, it's been a weird sort of morning. Misty rain's coming in and drenches the court, and then it dries out again, the sun's out. So, look, wouldn't it be great if it could stay dry for the game, but I'm not sure I like our chances. But either way, both teams have to play in it, so they'll both have to adjust.
And we'll quickly recap last week's elimination semi-final results from the Sunday. In the under-17s, a really close game again. Yarrawonga just etching out North Albury 47-46. I believe it was a little bit of a comeback from Yarrawonga. North were leading for the whole of that game.
Yeah, North led pretty much until the last probably 5 minutes or so, and then Yarra really came over the top of them. But we're certainly in it all game, just we're probably too inconsistent.
And Yarrawonga defeating Corowa-Rutherglen 54-31 in that elimination semi-final result. In the B grade, Corowa-Rutherglen 47 defeating Myrtleford 40, and a bit disappointing for your girls, Tina. They were leading for a fair amount of that game.
Yeah, they had momentum all their way probably until the last 6 or 7 minutes, and it swung Corowa's way. They made a change at half-time, which I think really helped them, and the 2 talls came into the goals, and just etched it back and took the lead at the right time, and they had a good win.
Absolutely. And Wangaratta Magpies, they find themselves playing off in this elimination semi-final today after a tough and hard-fought win, 49, defeating Lavington 45. And credit to the Magpies, they just kind of chipped away all day. It was a game that really ebbed and flowed. One team would get up by a couple of goals, the other team would come back, get that slight lead, and it just really ebbed and flowed, and they just were able to really seal it out in those last few minutes.
Look, they did, and I think when the game had to be won in that last quarter, they just went to another level. They lifted the intensity. They had a couple of players who started to create a bit more play and really attack the ball. I think that was the difference and why they got over the line. And
in our earlier games today, Wodonga Bulldogs in the under-17s were far too good for Yarrawonga, so they've earned themselves a spot to play against the Wodonga Raiders, which those 2 teams last week went to double extra time, so that will be a cracking game in the under-17s next weekend.
It should be just a super game. Get there early to watch that, because 2 teams who drew during the season, as you said, last week went to double extra time, and I'm sure that both of them are going to come out hard next week.
And we've just seen the end of the C grade game with Lavington taking the win over Yarrawonga just slightly. During the second quarter, it absolutely bucketed down for about 5 minutes, and now we see half an hour later that the court's nice and dry. So with a little bit of sun, the court can dry out. But on to today's game. Last week, Corowa-Rutherglen were really outplayed by a really clinical Yarrawonga, who still made some errors. I think they've still got room to grow, but they were forced to make some changes. We saw Grace Senior head out to goal attack. Zoe McLeish came on in goal shooter for a little bit. That was a different combination. Ella Kingston went into wing attack, which was that really changed up the court, put a bit of height across that mid-court line for them. And Sally Spencer went into defence. Do you think we're likely to see some of those changes today?
Yeah, look, Ella was great for them, Ella Kingston. I'd be really keen to see her start. I don't think she will. Georgie's playing a bit of a numbers game, because both those girls, Ella and Zali, and even Zoe, will be playing in their B grade following this. So she has to be really careful about how many quarters they play in A, because that will impact how many quarters they can play in B. So I think it's going to be a bit of a juggle for her today, and I think that's why she won't start them.
Yeah, big juggle. She wants to implement the 6-quarter rule. She can play them 3 and 3, but in the wing attack change last week was, I think, the strongest change she made. So I don't think there'll be as many changes elsewhere on the court, though. It's, she played all 12 players last week, so I think it's not going to happen today. They obviously need the win to get through to that grand final next week.
And Wangaratta Magpies, they continued to chip away, as I mentioned earlier. They made minimal changes and nothing too unexpected. We saw Leah Genby go out into that wing attack role, Hannah Grady slip across the line into wing defence, and the input of Liv into goal defence, which was great for them. Lavington really tried to combat that, and they brought Christine on, but they just probably a little bit too little too late, and we know that she'll line up in B grade for them next week. And I thought that the sister combination of Izzy Byrne and Amy Byrne, they were outstanding on that mid-court line and transitioning into attack.
They were. Georgia Clark also, she just directed the play. I think the last 2 weeks, Wang have been really brave in some of the moves that they've made, and I think Hannah and Shay are out there as co-coaches. That's a tough gig anyway, let alone adding playing to that, and I think they've been excellent in their ability to come off and step back as coaches whilst also being players and make some decisions where they've taken themselves out. 2 weeks ago, Shay sat off for a half. Hannah's taking herself out of her, I guess she's best known for that GD position, swinging to wing defence. So I think they've really been brave in making changes that are for the team.
And I think for them, they've got nothing to lose. They've come in that 4th position. They probably weren't as clinical during the season as they would have liked, but when the time came to get into that top 5, they made those really difficult changes, and they've really just edged out a couple of those close games.
I think there's experience shows in that regard too, but I do like Hannah Grady across in wing defence for the lineup for the sides. It'll be interesting that happens today, but it's like their want and desire was there last week. I tipped Lavy to take the win, and Magpies, had a wonderful, wonderful game, and they wanted it more, I thought.
Awesome. And we talk about the 2 times they've seen each other this year. Round 3 was their first appearance. Corowa-Rutherglen nudged out a win, 42-38. First quarter score was 9-8. Magpies came back to win the second quarter 8-11, and then it was all Corowa's way. However, they had 70 shots on goal to only seal out 42. I thought that was an incredible stat when I was having a look. So that was amazing. But in their attacking lineup, they had Liv Sinclair in wing attack. We've mentioned Liv a lot in that wing attack and that injury to her. And Tony Lind as well, who was travelling from Melbourne, partly in the VNL and partly here, and she's been unavailable for the rest of the season. So a very different mid-court in that game as well. Jen Barrett didn't take the court at all because Lily Sharp was also available before she went overseas. So that first game was a completely different team for the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos. And then for Wang, the only change that was in there was the shooting. Amy Burden hadn't become available for them yet. So we look on to then, the last time they played was in round 12. Corowa-Rutherglen, again with the win, 52-38. Tam and I were talking about this off air, and we were saying the first half was really close, 14-11, 13 all in the second quarter. And then Corowa-Rutherglen just had a stellar third quarter, 13 goals to 6. They just really defended hard, and then the Magpies just couldn't come back from that.
Yeah, they did, and Wang kind of got caught up in some of the umpires' calls, but also Corowa switched their defence, so they really went one-on-one in the first half, and Georgia Clark was really outstanding and dominated. In that third quarter, we saw Soph start to drop back and take up some of that space, and that made it a lot harder for Georgia to get the ball, and unfortunately Amy wasn't able to put enough shots up at that stage to sort of get them over the line, whereas we saw that differently last week, where Amy really, she scored at a high enough rate that allowed them to win that game. And interestingly, last week, Corowa had something like 22 less attempts at goal than Yarrawonga. So they just didn't even get the opportunities last week. So I think it's going to come down to that mid-court.
Awesome. And we will talk about our team cards thanks to the Insight Injury Clinic, starting with the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos. They are coached by Georgie Bruce. She's got a battle on her hands, lining up in B grade herself after this. Starting in goal shooter will be Grace Senior. In goal attack, Chloe Senior. Wing attack, Maddie O'Keefe. Centre, Brooke Bice. Wing defence, Emily Larissy. Goal defence, Sophie Hanrahan. Goalkeeper, Jen Barrett. And sitting on their interchange is Zoe McLeish, Zali Spencer, Imogen Taylor, Lisa Tobin and Ella Kingston. Though we talk about experience, there still is a lot of experience out there for the Roos in terms of final experience.
Oh, huge amount. And I think, Grace and Chloe Senior just have a lot of netball experience between them, and then obviously we know what Soph Hanrahan and Jen Barrett, she's got experience too, not just at Ovens and Murray, but at other levels. So they certainly have got experience. They probably haven't played a lot of finals netball, and I guess that's where the challenge for them is, just to get them over the line in finals, because their last final experience, I think they beat Wang by something like 17 in the lead-up final and then lost that grand final. So they know that previous scores mean nothing.
Absolutely. As we look to the Wangaratta Magpies, we mentioned before they're co-coached by Shay Crimmins and Hannah Grady. In goal shooter will be Georgia Clark. Goal attack, Amy Byrne. Wing attack, Shay Crimmins. Centre, Izzy Byrne. And big shout out to Izzy playing her 150th A-grade O&M game today. I doubt she would have played many anywhere else in any other grades, maybe a couple in B and C, but she's a real legend, and in that 150, I doubt she would have missed many in between either.
No, she wouldn't have. She's been so consistent. Yeah, I can't think of really any periods where she's been injured and been unavailable.
So I think they'd like to cap that off with a win. In wing defence, Leah Genvy. Goal defence, Hannah Grady. Goalkeeper, Katie Dean. And on the interchange, Olivia Richards, Rochelle Petts, Ebony Norris, Jess Henry, Tess Clayton. Leah Genvy, I think in that wing defence role, her in that matchup with Maddie O'Keefe, size-wise, is incredible. They're both probably that shorter stature in those positions, but they will run all day. And Leah Genvy's elevation across the circle edge is probably one of her strengths.
Yeah, they're going to have to be careful there, because Maddie O'Keefe can get deep in that pocket, and Leah Genvy will have a field day picking off those balls that they try and get over to her. So Maddie is going to have to work really hard to get around and get to the top of that circle if she wants to be an option.
And some real key matchups as well. I'm liking the look of Sophie Hanrahan coming up against Georgia Clark. We, on air last week, were talking about whether Georgia Clark would change up her game a little bit, and Brown put her advice there that she would like to see her move a little bit, because she is really agile and get Amy on the drive and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that, and we know how damaging Soph can be as a floating defender with those long arms and her reach and her elevation, but as well as when she sticks one-on-one and just really makes it hard work for whoever she's playing against.
It's going to be interesting watching both goal shooter goalkeeper combos today, and I think that's where the game's probably going to be won, and that delivery from the mid-court.
Absolutely, and we also know that Jen Barrett came off injured in last week's game. So if I was Georgia Clark, I would be doing a lot of early work to really test out that injury and see where she's at.
And it's interesting you mentioned that grand final loss. It seems like only yesterday that we were playing that 2019 grand final, but for these teams, yeah, it probably feels like only yesterday, but there is a couple of years in between, and it'll be interesting if there probably is not a lot of love lost between them, and interesting to see whether that really fires the Corowa-Rutherglen girls up to really want to take the win to get into that grand final and give it another shot. And if for Wang Magpies, they know what it takes to win a premiership and to get there, and we often say that this is the hardest game to win, to get into that grand final is the hardest.
Prelims are tough, and I sometimes think there's more heartbreak at the end of a prelim than sometimes there is at the end of a grand final. It's a tough game.
It definitely is. I can vouch for that one, particularly, and for Corowa-Rutherglen, they finished on top. I've been through, and the heartbreak with that is really real, and for them, if they were to go out in straight sets, they wouldn't be wanting that either. So I expect that should the Suns stay out, it's going to be just end-to-end netball. So Tina Way, a tip from you.
I'm going to have to go the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos today. I think they are going to take it probably by 6 or 7.
And Tam Matthews?
I'm going to say Wang by 3.
I'm going to go Corowa-Rutherglen. I think just the fire in the belly. I think perhaps if they are down by goals, it may turn into a bit of a mental game for them to get up and over. But I think, the fire will be there. But I expect it, and I hope that it's close. As we see here, they're just having their final huddles. There's lots of energy, and the players from both teams are taking the court. Tamara Matthews, can you fill us in on who our umpires are today?
Yeah, so we've got Cindy Wardius and Narelle McIntosh. So I expect to see both these ladies next week doing a grand final. I think Cindy will probably take the A grade and Narelle will do one of the lower grades.
And as Izzy Byrne takes the first centre pass for the Wangaratta Magpies, we are underway in this preliminary final at Bunton Park, North Albury, between the Wangaratta Magpies and the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos. The Wangaratta Magpies in attack, happy to just pass the ball around, and Amy Byrne with a lovely feed over to Georgia Clark. It reefs back out, and she can't get on the board for her first score. So the Roos now looking to come out from a defence to attack, and a long ball to Brooke Bice gets them over their transverse, and they are now into attack, and there's a contact call in the Roos attacking third. Leah Genvy standing out of play next to Brooke Bice, setting the penalty. The ball has gone to Chloe Senior, a double team on Grace Senior. Hannah Grady and Katie Dean doing their best to work the body, and Grace Senior will be putting up her first shot and first goal of this game. So the Roos off the Magpies centre pass score first.
So Corowa with the ball. Brooke Bice on the line finds Grace Senior, who's out of the circle. Chloe straight in, and a great pass straight into her hands, and then Grace followed up with a nice drive. She's under the post and will put away her second goal. So they go to 2 goals. Wang on 0 as Wang take the centre through Izzy Byrne.
And Amy Byrne coming out over the line. The hands of Sophie Hanrahan, that's the damage she can do. She timed that one beautifully without the infringement. So Shay Crimmins on the far sideline gives the ball off to Izzy Byrne, and a bounce pass into Crimmins. She's falling out of court, but manages to get a pass over to Clark, and they go over to Byrne again. I don't know how long they can afford to go over the reach of Sophie Hanrahan and of Jen Barrett, as we see the shot bounce back out, and Sophie Hanrahan taking an easy rebound.
And you could say that, Rhea, and I think we're seeing that here. The hands over of Corowa in that attacking end for Wang is really tough for them to get past at the moment, as Corowa move it to their goal circle, but the feed to Grace is a bit wild and is out the back. So Katie Dean will take the baseline throw in for Wang. Grace gets a great tip to it, knocks it out, but unfortunately it'll be a Wang throw in again. So Katie Dean again close to the baseline with the ball for Wangaratta. Gives off to Genvy. And here Wang are looking to drive it. Hannah couldn't get the long drive on. She had to pop back at the ball, but finds Shay Crimmins through the centre as Wang hit their goal third through Izzy Byrne. Georgia Clark's high out of that circle. And at the moment, Izzy finds Shay on the circle, and they're just having to work it and wait for that space to open up. So Georgia gets some space behind her, but she's too far out.
And that's the desperation of the Roos. Sophie Hanrahan trying to really get in the loose ball, just couldn't quite gain possession, and the Magpies have attacked, and they are on the board in the hands of Amy Byrne. So a 1-goal advantage to the Roos. 2 goals plays 1 here on the 777 automotive scoreboard. Tina Way, I'm interested in terms of the Magpies attack, and there's a little bit of a height differential. How important is going to be a balk of the ball before they pass it?
It's going to have to be essential. The mismatch between Shay Crimmins and Emily Laris is huge, as it is with goal defence of Sophie Hanrahan. As Corowa just put in another goal, it's going to be very interesting. They're going to have to drive the middle of the court. They're going very, very wide so far.
And we see Shay Crimmins going wide into that far channel into Izzy Byrne, a centering ball back to Crimmins, having to do 3 or 4 drives to really get into that front position. Then they see the long arms of Larissy. An offside call, though. She did her best to really try not to be there. And Amy Byrne and Shay Crimmins finding some great timing off circle edge. Byrne opting to pass off to Clark. And Clark's shot just bounces out again. So it's an Magpies throw in. It's come off the hands of the Roos defenders. High ball over to Crimmins. She manages to hold possession. Gives off to Byrne, but a contact call first, a pushing call there. So Hanrahan taking the penalty pass, and Barrett lining up now. Both Magpies shooters out of play. Chloe Senior driving up the court, and Roos in the attack in there, attacking third. Grace Senior coming straight out the top of the circle, and a great drive from Chloe Senior. And the contact call going the way of the Magpies. Clever play from Grady to just really try and keep her body up straight. She gives off the outlet ball to Byrne, but there's too much on it, and it's gone over a third and untouched. So the players will come back and reset. Jen Barrett with the ball, and Larissy driving through that centre third and gives off to Brooke Bice. Chloe Senior deep and tight on the sideline, far sideline. Grace Senior, though, holding her body position beautifully and holding Katie Dean out of any space to get around for that ball.
Yeah, and I think Katie's going to have to really adjust how she plays on Grace and get. I wouldn't be getting stuck on that body. I think Grace is too strong. There's not a big enough height difference there for her to be able to get those balls. So I think Katie needs to probably get off and hedge that space a little bit. And that box last week that they did worked really well. So looking at setting that up perhaps.
as we see the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos with a little lead here. 4 goals, plays 1 on the 777 automotive scoreboard. Already 5 minutes gone on the Jacob Toyota used cars time clock. The Magpies with a balk from Izzy Byrne to sister Amy Byrne. Jen Barrett getting a touch on the ball into Clark, and the Magpies with the throw-in the hands of Amy Byrne. She's right next to the post. Gives off to Shay Crimmins. A lob into Georgia Clark. A little bit too much on it. Clark able to gain possession and a pushing call.
They're just a bit sloppy with their passes at the moment. They're not hitting targets, and Georgia's getting a bit loosened. That's the second contact call on a row that she's had against her on Jen.
And Larissy now off to Brooke Bice, calling her players forward into attack, and Grace Senior does that. Heavily defended by Hannah Grady, giving away the contact. So Katie Dean now 2 against 1 in this attacking circle. Chloe Senior opts to come out, and just the timing on that lob is to perfection to Grace, and she finishes that lovely defensive play off for Corowa with their 5th goal. They are leading 5 goals to 1 here on the 777 automotive scoreboard. Our first quarter action is thanks to Cavalier Homes. Amy Byrne then had a lot more space than previously, and a great drive from her using the baseline to her advantage, sealing it with a goal. So Wang come back to 2, 5 goals to 2 with the Corowa centre pass to come. The ball just being retrieved for this centre pass. Brooke Bice with the centre pass to come. She steps in, whistle goes. Maddie O'Keefe doing some hard work on the line, but a contact call. She's stepped into the player as she does so.
Magpies really need to score this now, and then it's their centre pass so they can, close the gap, because 5-1 doesn't look great so far.
Sophie Hanrahan, she just dropped off the defence of Amy Byrne then and came back to Izzy Byrne. So a double play on that mid-court to really stop any feed coming in. It's interesting whether or not she can afford to do that, because we saw how damaging Amy Byrne could be when left alone last week. Georgia Clark coming out on the angle of the circle. She's high up in the attacking third. She's back in now. The pass from Amy Byrne, and credit to the Magpies. They've used the arch of the circle to their advantage there. A little bit of a fumble of the ball, but they've regained possession in the hands of Byrne and Crimmins now. Byrne, the contact call against Barrett. She steps in, looks to pass over to Georgia Clark, I think.
She had to go way over the post. That's how high you've got to go to get it over Sophie Hanrahan.
And Georgia Clark, her first goal of this game, brings Wang up to 3, and it's their centre pass to come. So Corowa with the lead, 5 goals to 3 here on the 777 automotive scoreboard. Clever play there, Byrne, sister to Byrne, sister, with Brooke Bice out of play. Izzy Byrne moving Amy Byrne around, and the refeed comes, and there is a contact call. Emily Larissy and Shay Crimmins there battle it out, but the arms of Soph Hanrahan getting a clear view on that ball, and a touch. Again, the hands of the Magpies have regained the fumbled possession, and you can see Sophie Hanrahan's reach over Amy Byrne's shot. She really had to step back to try and evade that. Georgia Clark, though, with the rebound and her second goal. So Wang now trailing by 1, 5 goals to 4 on the 777 automotive scoreboard.
As it's Corowa centre, but again, another penalty given the way of the Magpies off the line, this time against Chloe Senior. So Hannah Grady has it. She goes to Izzy Byrne, who goes long to Grady. Shay with Crimmins the short pass, and Amy Byrne's out of the circle. A loose ball to the pocket, but Shay Crimmins is able to chase it up and finds Amy Byrne front position. She takes the shot, and it's off, but they're going to get the penalty shot. Jen Barrett just obstructing on the land. So Georgia Clark takes it under the post and puts it in for Wang. So we've got even scores here on the 777 automotive scoreboard, and it's a Wangaratta Magpies centre. They're just starting to find a little bit more space in attack.
And Tina Way, what are you thinking of the Wangs' attack over those last few plays?
Well, they're getting the ball, moving the ball a lot quicker, and it's not giving Corowa time to adjust and do the drop back onto the attacking player. Whenever the ball holder's got the ball, Corowa players are dropping back and double teaming someone.
And a 3D lanes highlight of the day from Izzy Byrne, taking a two-handed intercept in front of the height mismatch of Sophie Hanrahan, but a held ball call, not enough movement in that attack, and so both teams here just held up from getting it to their circle edge. M. Larissy to Brooke Bice on this far third of the court. Maddie O'Keefe went to go forward, but a great work by Hannah Grady there, just drifting off her player and into space to confuse the space. And Amy Byrne home alone. The pass from Clark is good. So for the first time in this game, the Magpies have a lead, 6-5 on the 777 automotive scoreboard.
Yeah, and we can just see Soph got caught up probably watching the ball, and she's probably going to, when there's a turnover, work hard to find Amy immediately rather than sort of trying to float and pick off those balls. As Corowa take it into the goal circle, Grace Senior with a beautiful shot mid-range. So Corowa moved to 6 goals. Wang sitting on 6 goals on the 777 automotive scoreboard as Wang take a very quick centre pass.
And Amy Byrne using the balk there to try and get Sophie Hanrahan out of the way, and an obstruction call on the line coming first from Book Bice. So Shay Crimmins all the space to give the feed off, but just too much on the ball.
And probably the wrong option. She had a player in front, but yeah.
And the arms are so long, they've got to feel like they've got to push it so much further in front, and that's really getting the Magpies goalies out of position.
Brooke Bice looking for those players. Sorry, Tam,
yeah, I was
coming
going to say,
through.
I mean, Georgia came out and took Sophie with her, so let her be the decoy and then try and work it through to that other shooter. As Corowa, through Grace Senior, have another shot on goal, but unfortunately it doesn't go in. Hannah Grady just with a foot out of court, can't take the ball.
She knew it too. Her eyes said it all as soon as that whistle went. She's like, oh, my foot was out. A Grace Senior with possession again. The ball this time goes in. So the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos are up to 7 there. Centre pass to come. Wang Magpies on 6 on the 777 automotive scoreboard. And a little bit of pushing and shoving on this line. The umpires have opted to reset it. Maddie O'Keefe with the bounce pass to Grace Senior. And the hands over pressure from Katie Dean have forced the turnover in the way of the Magpies. Leah Genvy doing a mountain of work on that transverse line. She's reset the ball, a couple of double plays, and Izzy Byrne not having any doubt double playing the ball, and the ball has gone into a puddle deep on the other side. Izzy Byrne's face says it all on that wet ball.
There is a towel there. They probably should be opting to try and dry that.
What I like about the attackers at both ends, and Maddie O'Keefe started to do it as well, they're both wing attacks are really starting to cut in front of that defensive mismatch, which is getting them closer to the ball. And Maddie O'Keefe did it down this end, and Shay Crimmins and Izzy Byrne are doing that down that end, and that's going to have to happen all day, particularly with them Larissy across the line. We know there's that real height difference.
Yeah, and both sides have keepers who can come out hunting for those balls, so they are going to have to play front rather than using that backspace too much. As Wang sit and wait patiently as the ball's returned. It's a Wangaratta centre as Byrne Crimmins is quickly off the line, and a nice quick pass to Amy Byrne in the pocket, and Georgia Clark presents front. She's going to take the shot. No goal called as the umpire has called a contact, I think it is, on Amy Byrne. So Corowa penalty in the circle, and that is a coach killer. If
that is disappointing, because Georgia Clark just netted a beautiful long range shot that won't count. So the Roos now are on the attack in the hands of Larissy to Maddie O'Keefe, really working that front space of Leah Genvy to hit the circle edge. Chloe Senior calling for the ball right in front of us and coming through, and there's a contact call at the top of the circle. Maddie O'Keefe setting the penalty. Grace Senior using her body again to stay out of Katie O'Dean's way, and a replay call. So the Magpies now in possession. Genvy giving the ball back to Grady, who comes back onto the ball. Byrne and Crimmins working that front possession. O'Grady on the line, gives it off to Crimmins, looking for Byrne over the hands of a floating Soph Hanrahan. That's probably the one that needs to balk and go the fake, get her out of the way, and then give the ball in as she goes floating again across circle edge. Can't get it, and a lovely pass from Shay Crimmins. It looked like it was going to Byrne on the baseline, but instead to Clark, and she nails another goal. Wang with the 1 goal advantage here, 8-7 on the 777 automotive scoreboard. Just over a minute to play here on the Jacob Toyota used cars time clock, and what a preliminary final we are in for.
As Grace Senior puts another on the board for Corowa, so we've got 8 goals apiece with not much time left. It's a Wang centre. Corowa aren't going to give that ball back in a hurry as Izzy Byrne pulls it in. She has to go backwards to Leah Genvy, and Wang have it on the circle through Shay Crimmins. Amy Byrne's out, and not sure where that was going, but someone deflected it. Corowa have come down, and they've moved it extremely quickly. They're almost on circle edge, except have had to reset because there was no one home. So Brooke Bice attempts to step around and is able to draw a contact on Izzy Byrne. She goes to go over the seam.
That is the 3D Lanes highlight of the day late in this first quarter. Timed to perfection. The pass that went over gives off to Amy Byrne, and Shay Crimmins hitting the top of circle edge. Gives off to Amy Byrne. She's not given enough room to turn, so she opts for the pass to Clark. falling backwards and nets their 9th goal right on the siren of quarter time. So first quarter action here in this preliminary final sees the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos trailing the Wangaratta Magpies 8-9. We will be back after the break for the second quarter action in this preliminary final.
How many subscriptions do you have? One for entertainment? And one for news? And meditation? One for sport? And one for music? Whatever you're into, you can now manage select paid subscriptions in one place and save up to 10% with Optus SubHub. Discover what's trending and save by bundling them all together. Streamline your subscriptions with Optus SubHub. It starts with yes.
Looking for somewhere great to eat? Check out Social Dining and Bar. And right now, you can get a seafood basket, served with chips, salad and tartare sauce from just $18. Come and be part of it all at Social Dining and Bar at the SS&A.
GoTafe is hiring, and we want you on our team. Flexibility, professional development, generous remuneration and a staff wellbeing program are just a few of the great benefits we offer. If you have a passion for your skill or qualification and you're looking for real work-life balance, then GoTafe is the place for you.
GoTafe is leading,
inspiring,
hands-on,
flexible, fabulous.
We have dozens of trainer positions and corporate roles open right now. Get in touch today.
The new Nissan Navara has landed at McRae Nissan with a tougher, more rugged design, Nissan intelligent mobility, advanced off-road capabilities, and a host of on-road refinement. Test drive one today at McRae Nissan.
Adroit Insurance and Risk, your local insurance advisor, able to tailor insurance programs to support your business.
And we're proud to support our local community.
Pain or injury can stop you from living life to the fullest. Albury-Wodonga Private Hospital specialises in advanced orthopaedic services and offers a full range of care from diagnosis to surgery and rehabilitation. Get back to the life you love with our support.
.0% alcohol. This changes everything. Rewrite the rules. Carlton Zero.
At 2AY, we're your home of news, talk, sport and music.
We're community focused, passionate about our region and what makes it great.
We bring you the very latest news that matters, from breaking stories in your backyard to headlines and hot topics from around the country and around the world.
And on weekends, we live and breathe local sport and bring you exclusive live coverage.
1494 2AY. We're your local.
On 2AY.
Welcome back to O&M Live Netball. We are broadcasting to you today from the Bunton Park in North Albury, the preliminary final, where the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos are taking on the Wangaratta Magpies. The Wangaratta Magpies with the slight advantage, 9-8 here at quarter time. Brooke Bice from the Roos about to reset our play, and the second quarter is underway. The Roos with the centre pass and an obstruction call on the line from Izzy Byrne will leave Soph Hanrahan with the penalty pass on the transverse line.
No changes to either side, so they're both sticking with what has worked in the first quarter as Grace Senior puts one up for Corowa.
Early shot and goal from her. Interesting, we spoke off air. Chloe Senior hasn't posted an attempt on goal in that first quarter for the Roos. It's all been at the hands of Grace Senior as Georgia Clark, goal shooter at the other end, replies with a beautiful,
and that was a better setup.
She
was further out, she gave herself more space, did a little bit of early work to get the space behind her.
And a great front cut and double dodge there from Brooke Bice in front of Izzy Byrne. The real pace and the settling shot again from Grace Senior takes the Roos up to 10 Wang Magpies on 10 here on the Cavalier home scoreboard. Leah Genvy in wing defence gives off to Shay Crimmins in wing attack. Back the reset goes to Genvy and out to Byrne. She's really using the circle to her advantage, cutting through, giving off to Crimmins on the line, and the reset to Genvy gives Byrne the space at the top of the circle, and the front ball was on to Byrne, but they opt over the hands of Hanrahan to Clark, and it went waylaid, but Izzy Byrne was able to pull in the scraps.
And an offside there. Wang had to work that so much then, and Cora eventually forced an error through an offside as they've moved it very quickly to their attack end. Maddie O'Keefe with the ball on the transverse has to go sideways to Brooke Bice. Again, she's having to go back to Hanrahan before O'Keefe is able to cross the line, and they've worked it in under the post to Chloe Senior, who takes a shot and puts it in. So she's on the board for the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos as they move to 11, leading Wang 10 on the Cavalier home scoreboard.
Grady doing all she can, and what I loved seeing from the Roos is that Grace Senior's very mobile today. She's really on every ball driving out, and she's used that circle edge similar to how she would as a goal attack to come around and put sister Chloe Senior behind. So instead of opting for that positional change, I'm wondering if the instruction from Coach Georgie Bruce is to be a little bit more mobile on Katie Dean today.
Yeah, possibly, and I think, you know, these girls know how each other plays so well as Wang drive it very quickly through to their attacking end. Shay Crimmins with the ball on circle edge, finds Georgia Clark in the pocket. She swings it out top to Izzy, and she has to go off the circle to Shay Crimmins, but gets it back again. Before they find Amy Byrne under the post, a sneaky pass to Georgia Clark. Beautiful eyes, and Georgia puts it away for the Magpies as they move to 11 goals apiece.
And that was a better attacking play from the Magpies from defence to attack. It was only those 4 passes to the circle edge. They're getting held up a little bit. That defensive pressure of the Roos is outstanding along that defensive transverse line. The balk's gone and Burns come in from off court. She's
took her eyes off the ball, and the delivery came in and she was not ready.
And I think it was a case too that there was a second guess of where the pass was going to go. Izzy Byrne just second guess where she was releasing it, and then that confusion came into play, which in games like today we can't afford to do. But the Roos have slowed the ball down with an obstruction call, so M. Larissy with the ball on the transverse line will set the penalty and give off to Hanrahan. Amy Byrne having a dig at the ball but can't getting through. A contact call from Grady outside of the circle leaves Dean with the 2-on-1 against the Senior sisters. Grace Senior gaining possession of the ball. A jump from Dean over the shot, and it works in this instance because Senior's shot reefs out, and Dean, a clever rebound from her, positioning herself just to be able to tap it back to herself.
Yeah, she did. She worked really hard and then able to knock it out to her player on the circle. So Wang transitioned it through the mid-court, through Byrne and Crimmins. They have to reset to Genvy. She goes to Byrne. It goes over her hands, and Hanrahan actually keeps it in, but Wang get the scrap. So the hard work of Hanrahan actually didn't pay off for her in that instance, as Wang get it to circle edge through Izzy Byrne, and Georgia Clark comes front, which is where she needs to be a little bit more. They can't find a shooter, so they're having to work it around. Eventually the space opens up for Georgia Clark to drop into, and she takes a shot of goal, puts it in. So Wang go to 12, leading Corowa 11 on the Cavalier home scoreboard. It's a Corowa-Rutherglen centre.
It was interesting on that play then from Magpies, from a defence to attack. Corowa-Rutherglen gave them all of one channel free, then nearly stood still on the opposite side, but then got into defence and made it really hard. So it was really interesting to watch as we see the Roos spilling the ball over the baseline. The ball is in the hands of goalkeeper Katie Dean, giving off to goal defence in Grady. Izzy Byrne gives off to Genvy. That is a much better transitional drive from her, and the ball going over hands into her possession. Byrne in their attacking third uses the sideline transverse to reset. Grady, clever from her to not go offside but regain possession. Amy Byrne coming out. The balk cross-circle ball to sister Izzy Byrne, and a much better timed pass and play then. Georgia Clark using her sideways movement to advantage and really shifting Jen Barrett a couple of times.
And a bit more definite in her move then too. And Shay Crimmins lops long ball over the top to Georgia Clark, just gains control, flicks it to Izzy Byrne, gets a quick refeed, and she's under the post. Puts another one in. So Wang go to 14, leading Corowa 11. on the Cavalier home scoreboard as Corowa-Rutherglen will take the centre through Brooke Bice.
Teen away for Insight Injury Clinic. What's been your matchup so far, the key matchup on court?
The key matchup so far would have to be as they just tumble to the ground, the wing attack for Corowa and wing defence from Wangaratta, who are having a very good tussle out there. I also think that Amy Byrne, the more she moves and gets the ball, it opens up their circle so much more. So if she can do that, they'll extend this lead.
Grace Senior for the Roos, putting what we know she can do in defence there. Her arms over pressure, getting a tip on the ball, but there's a little bit too much on it. And the Magpies are in attack. Amy Byrne giving off to sister Izzy Byrne. Shay Crimmins using the top of the circle edge to her advantage and the front position in front of Bice, but M. Larissy just a fingertip on it. Got Crimmins just off balance and caused the contact. So the Roos now in attack in the hands of Sophie Hanrahan. Gives off to Grace Senior, and there's a contact call from Leah Genvy. So Maddie O'Keefe in wing attack for the Roos will give off to Chloe Senior, and a quick ball to the hands of sister Grace Senior. She turns, and another miss from her. Grady with the front position for the rebound. They battle it out, and it is deemed a Magpies throw-in. Katie Dean taking the throw-in on the edge of the circle closest to us. Grady looking for the transitional pass. She gives off to Genvy. They haven't managed to get into their mid-third yet. And the hands of Grace Senior again coming through. Magpies looking like they were tending to go side to side there rather than coming onto the ball. They're just maybe having to make those couple of short, sharp passes to get through.
Just stepped off and put a bit of a press on there and took up some space. And they're very loud too. They back up their defensive work with some, strong talking and also from their bench. And I think teams need to be careful they don't let that get in their head a little bit as well. As Wangaratta have the ball on their transfers. It's just in the goal third. Shay Crimmins will take the ball. Amy Byrne through the top, quick refeed, and Shay Crimmins held onto it too long there. She should have given that straight off to Byrne then. She was in great position as Byrne tries to go over to Georgia Clark, and the intercept from Corowa is beautiful as they take it forward.
Amy Byrne for the Magpies doing her best to try and regain possession for the Magpies, but not quite able to get there. The Roos 2 passes and they are in their goal third. Grace Senior giving off to sister Chloe Senior, but it's an offside or an obstruction call, at the top of the circle. Maddie O'Keefe with the feed to Chloe Senior, who opts for the refeed, and contact by Hannah Grady gives Chloe Senior a clear look at the ring, but it pops out, and Grady with the rebound. Grace Senior now out of play for an obstruction call on the Magpies attacking play, and they are on the drive. Again, struggling to penetrate that middle third, but they are there, and the drive is good. Clever play then from Clark. She saw that Soph Hanrahan was dropping to go in front of her, and she just stood still and presented, but the girls didn't quite see it. Amy Byrne now with possession, steps in for that interesting one-handed shot that she has, and it falls just by the wayside, and Jen Barrett with the contact going her way. Georgia Clark infringing there. So the Roos now on the attack again. The score here is still 14 goals to the Magpies, 11 goals to the Roos on the Cavalier home scoreboard. Just over 5 minutes to play in this second quarter, and another wayward pass.
Yeah, the pressure down there, and Corowa is really struggling to get it into their goal circle with ease.
And the Magpies will be a little bit disappointed. They've managed to turn quite a couple of balls over in the last few minutes down there and not convert. So they will want to convert this effort here, as we see just a little reminder to pull out of those fading contacts. We don't want to see either team ending up with a caution or a warning, and Brooke Bice infringing with an obstruction, tapping the ball out of the hands of Izzy Byrne. She's getting closer to circle edge, and Amy Byrne with all the space in the world, a contact outside the circle. Izzy Byrne resetting the ball, giving off Shay Crimmins and Georgia Clark. Much better use of the arch of the circle there.
They go over the top, and Georgia Clark just reacts in time to pull it in. Shots astray though, and somehow Amy Byrne came up with the rebound, but stepping call made.
Yes, she did. She did step. The footwork moved, and it was taken off her.
Yep. So Corowa take it through the midcourt very quickly. Chloe Senior goes over the top to Grace, and they have it under their post very quickly, and Grace is able to sink a goal. So finally we get a movement on the scoreboard as Corowa go to 12, trailing Wangaratta 14, as Wang take the centre pass.
So this is where Wang have got to be clever and not get get caught up in anything. We heard the crowd there really roar when that ball went in Corowa's favour. We can see in front of us there's a lot of Corowa and there's a few heavy contacts. Players hitting the deck here right in front of us. Amy Byrne, a great drive from her, and the ball going down in front of the hands of Barrett. Georgia Clark doing the hard work to keep Sophie Hanrahan and her long arms out of the road, and a long shot there from Byrne. We'd nearly call it a pass.
She would calling it a pass. Every shooter in there.
And Clark making good of that. So Wang Magpies with the 3-goal advantage. 15 plays 12 here on the Cavalier home scoreboard. Just under 4 minutes to play on the Jacob Toyota used cars time clock. And the Wang Magpies again have interrupted the attack of the Roos and have possession. And we see the Roos a little bit of a press on the line, but they've gone back to a man-on-man defence. Hannah Grady coming right down to that transition line. Izzy Byrne saying to sister Amy Byrne, come forward onto the ball, as she does. Deep in the pocket is Izzy Byrne. Gives off to Amy Byrne. The one-handed shot again just fades over. Clark going for the rebound.
And she's looking to Georgia. You can see the hesitation in her shot, and as she put that up, she almost looked to Georgia to want to pass. So Corowa was setting himself for that rebound as they take the ball to their transfers. Maddie O'Keefe finds Grace Senior in front. She's going to take the shot, and she puts one away. So Corowa go to 13, trailing Wang 15 on the Cavalier home scoreboard as we're into the last couple of minutes of the quarter. Izzy Byrne takes the centre pass to Wang, but an obstruction call is made on the centre, and Wang, through Hannah Grady and Crimmins, find Amy Byrne in the goal third. They have to go back to the line through Genby, work it to the pocket to find Izzy Byrne. She's not confident to go over those hands of Sophie Hanrahan. The shooter's just trying to set something up here as Amy Byrne finds front position, and you can just see those contacts on the outside are disrupting the timing of the shooters as well. So Georgia Clark with a beautiful hold and fell into the space. Sophie Hanrahan didn't like it, but Georgia Clark with a lovely goal for Wangaratta. So they move to 16, leading Corowa 13 on the Cavalier home scoreboard.
And this is a case of you cannot wait for the whistle in a game like this either. You can't change what the umpires call is. You don't change their mind. So let's get on with it, and none of those roll balls. As the defence of the Magpies again just put the doubt in the Roos mind, causing the turnover in the Roos attacking third. So the Magpies on the attack again. Crimmins gives off to Amy Byrne coming out of the circle. Soph Hanrahan and Barrett fading on. They're playing a 2-on-1 against the shooter of Georgia Clark, and then picking Amy Byrne up. She's having to do a mountain of work to get from possession, but she's doing it and gives off the ball to sister Izzy Byrne. But M. Larissy with a 3D lanes highlight of the day there, gaining possession and putting the Roos on attack. And attack they do. 2 passes. They're in their goal third and in the steady hands of Grace Senior, that is. A miss from her. She was quite long range, but it is their throw-in to come. Sister Chloe Senior with the throw-in gives off to Maddie O'Keefe on the circle edge. Katie Dean trying to get hands over the ball, a jump over the shot. Grace Senior, though, makes no doubt on that second attempt. So the Roos trailing by 2, 14 to the Magpies, 16 here on the Cavalier home scoreboard. Just over 1 minute to play in this second quarter. Amy Byrne with the ball deep in the pocket of the Magpies shooting end. It's gone cross court to Grady. Magpies still in possession. They're happy to play around with it. Firm pass there from Izzy Byrne. There was making no doubt, and another contact sees another body hit nearly the deck using the post just to make sure that they're not falling out of court. Byrne here getting possession and putting the hand up, and a contact call over the shot. So Georgia Clark with the shot to come, stepping into where the umpires marked it. She puts it up and the shot is good. Wang 17 leading the Roos 14 here. About 20 seconds to play on the Jacob Toyota used cars time clock. Half time is imminent, and Grace Senior makes no doubt when she turns and shoots like that, you just know the ball is going through the ring. Izzy Byrne getting us underway, possibly the last centre pass of this second quarter. There's an obstruction caught on call, and they're saying get that long ball in. Not quite enough time. So this prelim final sees the Wangaratta Magpies with a 2-goal lead. 17 goals plays the Roos 15. We will be back after this ad break for the second half action on O&M Live Netball, and on O&M Live you won't miss a thing.
How many subscriptions do you have? One for entertainment? And one for news? And meditation? One for sport? And one for music? Whatever you're into, you can now manage select paid subscriptions in one place and save up to 10% with Optus SubHub. Discover what's trending and save by bundling them all together. Streamline your subscriptions with Optus SubHub. It starts with yes.
Looking for somewhere great to eat? Check out Social Dining and Bar. And right now, you can get a seafood basket served with chips, salad and tartare sauce from just $18. Come and be part of it all at Social Dining and Bar at the SS&A.
GoTafe is hiring, and we want you on our team. Flexibility, professional development, generous remuneration and a staff wellbeing program are just a few of the great benefits we offer. If you have a passion for your skill or qualification and you're looking for real work-life balance, then GoTafe is the place for you.
GoTafe is leading,
Inspiring.
hands-on,
Flexible. Fabulous.
We have dozens of trainer positions and corporate roles open right now. Get in touch today.
The new Nissan Navara has landed at McRae Nissan with a tougher, more rugged design, Nissan intelligent mobility, advanced off-road capabilities, and a host of on-road refinement. Test drive one today at McRae Nissan.
Adroit Insurance and Risk, your local insurance advisor, able to tailor insurance programs to support your business.
And we're proud to support our local community.
Pain or injury can stop you from living life to the fullest. Wangaratta Private Hospital specialises in advanced orthopaedic services and offers a full range of care from diagnosis to surgery and rehabilitation. Get back to the life you love with our support.
.0% alcohol. This changes everything. Rewrite the rules. Carlton 0.
At 2AY, we're your home of news, talk, sport and music.
We're community focused, passionate about our region and what makes it great.
We bring you the very latest news that matters, from breaking stories in your backyard to headlines and hot topics from around the country and around the world.
And on weekends, we live and breathe local sport and bring you exclusive live coverage.
1494 2AY. We're your local.
O&M Live on 2AY.
Welcome back to O&M Live Netball, proudly brought to you by McRae Motors. We're coming to you today from Bunton Park in North Albury. I'm Ree Delahenty. Today's preliminary final sees the Wangaratta Magpies with a 2-goal buffer leading the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos 17 goals to 15. Half-time, really, Tam Matthews and Tina Wade joining me in commentary today. There is not a lot splitting these two teams at half-time.
Oh, there's not, isn't it? The contests on the court are fantastic to watch.
Everyone is playing so well and it's so quick and fast and tight that the options aren't presenting as often as they were probably in the first quarter. It's going to be very interesting how the start of this third quarter goes for both sides.
We alluded to that we predicted it would be a pretty defensive game, the battle of the shooter and defender in both circles, but we said then it would come down to the mid-court and who can really pick up, and we've spoken already about the battle between Maddie O'Keefe and Leah Genvy. We can see here from where we are positioned that it looks like there's a couple of changes going in the Magpies camp.
So Liv Richards has gone into wing defence, and they've swung Leah Genvy to wing attack. So be interesting to see whether she has ferocious attack on the ball and her give and goes are phenomenal. So whether she can create a bit more energy onto that circle to feed the shooters for Wang, perhaps that's what they're looking for. The rest of the team remains the same.
And the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos, they're first to head out on court and no changes from them. Would have been interesting to see whether the discussion came whether or not to switch Grace Senior and Chloe Senior, but we did speak about Grace has been on the move today. So the Roos have got us underway here in this third quarter, and a contact off the ball from wing defence. Liv Richards gives Brooke Bice a clear pass into Grace Senior. Both circle defenders with hands over the ball, but Senior netting her first goal of this third quarter. The Roos are back within 16 goals. Trailing the Magpies 17, and Soph Hanrahan really pressuring Amy Byrne, then getting two hands on the ball. They've attacked two passes into the circle. Grace Senior with the miss on goal, but the strong rebound, and another miss, but another rebound. She goes for her third attempt, and this time it is good. Scores here are level, 17 goals apiece on the Martins Travel Group Albury. Corowa with the centre to come. Can they make good and regain that handy lead that they had early on in that first quarter?
Well, they've certainly come out flying, and the contact call on Maddie O'Keefe, she pushed it into Izzy Byrne, forced her over, and the umpire has called it against Maddie Causing. So Wang will have the opportunity to turn it back through Grady. Izzy Byrne has it in the middle of the court. She has to go back, and Celia Genevieve finds her way through. So just being held up by Corowa here. The defensive pressure again really strong. They're swinging it across the transverse. They've found the goal third, but again, lots of passes before they can find the goal circle. As Leah Genevieve has it in the pocket for Wang. She goes down low to Amy Byrne. She's not happy with her position, so she refeeds and takes the shot, but it's out. Georgia Clark under the circle, under the ring, but couldn't stay balanced and foot out. So Jem Barrett will throw in for Cora, and they have the opportunity to turn it back.
And Genevieve giving away the contact call, trying to put all the defensive pressure she can. The Roos now, Barrett in goalkeeper, just setting the penalty, gives off to M. Larissy in wing defence for the Roos in the centre third, and a two-handed intercept from Byrne. I think she was a little bit surprised to gain possession, but the Magpies have just thrown it away, going cross-court over sets of hands, and the hands of Emily Larissy in wing defence. You can't afford to do that. I think it was a little bit of a desperation pass rather than getting the 3-second call. So the Roos are on the attack. Maddie O'Keefe giving off to Chloe Senior, giving off to Brooke Bice, side to side. The Roos girls go. Now they're on top of the circle in the hands of O'Keefe, and Grace Senior using the arch to come around in front of Katie Dean. A long shot from her. It pops out. Grady with the two-handed rebound gives off to Richards. Looking down, she gives off to Genevieve, on to Byrne, on to sister Amy Byrne, back to the reset to Grady. She's been there all day and will continue to do so. Sisters Izzy and Amy Byrne teaming up again for the refeed, and now Sophie Hanrahan comes up to Amy Byrne, putting all that hands over pressure, stepping off to take Georgia Clark and giving Amy Byrne a clear shot at goal, which she puts up, but it pops out again. So the Roos with the rebound. They're on the attack again. Brooke Bice to Chloe Senior. They're in the transverse. They're on the transverse line just in front of us on this channel.
Oh, Katie Dean, 3-day lanes, highlight of the day. Comes through for a beautiful intercept, and Wang get another opportunity. They've all of a sudden got it in the goal circle, and a nice hold there from Georgia. Protected the space, but she can't put the goal in, and it's going to be a Corowa penalty pass, contact called under the circle. So the ball is really just swinging from end to end at the moment.
And the Roos back into that centre channel. Sophie Hanrahan, probably the first transitional play they've really used her height through that mid-court. Their attackers have done all the work, and Izzy Byrne trying to come front, giving away the offside call first. Chloe Senior will get us underway with the penalty pass inside the circle. Maddie O'Keefe coming to front position, getting tangled up under the legs of Izzy Byrne, who's now out of play for a contact call. Ball going into Chloe Senior, who makes good for her. Just her second goal of this game. So the Roos now with the 1-goal advantage, 18 plays 17 here on the Martins Travel Group Albury scoreboard. Nearly 5 minutes played here on the Jacob Toyota Used Cars time clock. The Magpies in the hands of Clark, putting up a goal. It slides over, but a clever rebound there from Byrne, off balance and coming through. Soph Hanrahan putting her hands up first there, giving Amy Byrne a clear shot at goal. Wang drawing level, 18 goals apiece here on the Martins Travel Group Albury scoreboard.
So Corowa have it circle edge to Maddie O'Keefe. Goes to go over to Grace Senior, who protected the space beautifully, but Katie Dean comes through and gets a tip to it. And likewise, M. Larissy's turned it back for Corowa. So again, both sides attacking with ferocity as Brooke Bice has it for Corowa. She has to go back to the line. There's no one in front. But the umpires found a penalty on circle edge against Izzy Byrne. There's been a couple of those early this quarter. So Maddie O'Keefe attempts to go over to Grace Senior, but she's well defended, and it will be a Wangaratta throw-in.
And am I right, Tam? Maddie O'Keefe and Izzy Byrne were probably teammates when they were at Wang Magpies a few years ago. They're probably not looking like there's a lot of love lost between them at the moment.
Absolutely
That
not.
real white line fever on the court, both teams not wanting to give in here as Izzy Byrne in the pocket gives the fading ball over to Georgia Clark, and that was a better timed ball over the hands of Hanrahan, deemed to have shortened her distance over that pass. Amy Byrne pass over to Georgia Clark, well within range for her, and the shot from her. Wang, for the first time in this quarter, are back in the lead, 19 goals to 18, with the centre pass to come. Izzy Byrne giving off to Leah Genvy. Em Larissy making it hard for Leah Genvy to really penetrate that centre third, but she does, and she's got the ball in possession again. And Brooke Bice there, with the obstruction call getting us underway. And you've called it again, Tina Way, that wing attack, wing defence battle at both ends is exceptional.
Emily Larissy is having a great matchup, I think, against Leah Genvy. I think she's beating her in that role. Shay Crimmins was a bit quick and in and under, but Em's getting up on this one.
And Amy Byrne with the penalty pass over to Clark. The penalty's being reset, though, both defenders out of play. Byrne opting for the pass again. Clark making good. So the Magpies back out to 2 goals, 20 plays 18 here on the Martins Travel Group Albury scoreboard, with only 8 and a bit minutes here to play in this third quarter. Leah Genvy doing all her can to get the ball back in the Magpies' possession, and Larissy stepping up to the sideline for the throw-in. Gives off to Chloe Senior. On to Brooke Bice, to Grace Senior presenting forward. Katie Dean, just a slight contact there right at the top of the circle edge, so great. Really pushing the limits there with Sophie Hanrahan on the drive through the court. Sophie Hanrahan giving off to Brooke Bice at the top of the circle. A better drive from Maddie O'Keefe heading circle edge. The ball too much on it over the hands of Grace Senior, and the Magpies in possession right in front of us on this sideline. Katie Dean getting us under play with Liv Richards as well, giving off to Izzy Byrne. And interesting for Richards, the last few weeks we've seen her when she's come on, she's gone into goal defence rather than wing defence. So it's taken her a few minutes here to warm up, but I think she's really starting to find her feet.
It really has. She's starting to find the rhythm of the play, but it has taken her some time to get to that point.
Oh, and a great ball release by Leah Genvy finds Georgia Clark over the back, and she sinks it for Wang. So Wang go out to 21, leading Corowa 19. As Corowa take the centre pass through Brooke Bice, they find Chloe Senior. She goes to Maddie Keefe, but she's out wide and off the circle edge. She attempts to go across and into the circle to Grace Senior, but Katie Dean just gets a tip to it. So Senior with the baseline throw in.
And the tip on the ball by Katie Dean again. The pass from Senior to Senior. They get the tip, but the Roos have gained possession, and a shot there from Grace Senior is good. Back to within 121 plays 20 here on the Martins Travel Group Albury scoreboard. And I think the Wang Magpies stopped there thinking there would be a contact or an obstruction call, and there wasn't, and Katie Dean goes flying, interrupts the play, but it is a Corowa-Rutherglen Roos throw in right in front of us in the hands of Maddie O'Keefe. Hannah Grady doing all she can to get around the body of Chloe Senior. No contact call, which is great movement from her. Double team now on Grace Senior for probably the first time in this game.
Yeah, first time, and we talked about that during the break as well. Will they double team Grace at all? Seeing it, Chloe, once again, this is another shot, is not on for the goals today. She's only dropped 2 goals for the whole game so far.
And in 3 quarters of netball, that's leaving a lot of pressure on Grace Senior. Maddie O'Keefe getting us underway. Grace Senior, though, effortless as she drives around circle edge. The goal pops out, but an obstruction call first, so she'll have that attempt on goal again, bringing the Roos back to level. 21 goals apiece here and on the Martins Travel Group Albury scoreboard.
Wang's last one, so they have an opportunity here to go a goal up if they can convert this as Grace Senior's out of the circle, but no, a penalty is given as an offside call, and that is another coach killer. As Wang will try and move it forward, Grady goes to Genevieve down the court. They're finding some good space here, Wang, as Izzy Byrne has it in the goal third. She has to reset. Just waiting for the shooters to set something up. Genevieve off the circle edge finds Byrne coming out, and Clark was presenting forward, but they
far
just
too early there from Clark, just half a second too early, and then the option was gone.
Yeah.
But they've managed to work out that timing and ball movement to the baseline. So Georgia Clark with the goal for the Magpies gets them back up by 1. 22 plays 21 here on the Martins Travel Group Albury scoreboard. Just over 4 minutes to play here on the Jacob Toyota used cars time clock, and Brooke Bice just getting a tip on the ball. Magpies throwing. Interesting last week, Izzy Byrne seemed like she had a lot of the space in centre, and the Roos have really stopped her from that. But the last couple of plays, she's had a lot more space to run around in.
Yeah, the defensive pressure on her has to be high because she just directs so much of their traffic. As Amy Byrne goes over to Georgia, she's drawn a penalty contact, so she'll take a shot on the post and converts. She's not going to miss that one. As Wang go out to 23, they're leading Corowa 21. It's a Corowa centre with only several minutes to go in this quarter.
And Maddie O'Keefe in wing attack for the Roos, opting back to M. Larissy, gives off to Bice. Izzy Byrne with her arms up, but Chloe Senior opts for the pass to Grace Senior, who turns and shoots, but it bounces back. And Katie Dean, a great two-handed rebound from her, leaving no doubt that it was her possession of the ball. Liv Richards using the transverse line to really work as an additional attacker for those long arms of the Corowa defence to really evade that. The ball resets again to Grady, and the Magpies won't hesitate in passing it around here until something opens up, and it does.
Very, very patient down there.
Yes, their timing was a lot better then in terms of waiting for someone to pop forward.
Amy Byrne is moving around in front more often, and is creating the set play to open up Georgia out the back.
Yeah.
And as we see the high ball coming in, but they're just not quite to precision and just need to really probably take that extra pass to the ball coming in. Georgia Clark doing all she can to move around, and the contact call being questioned by goal defence in Soph Hanrahan. A little bit of clarification there as to what it was. Georgia Clark trying to get the rebound of her missed shot.
Oh, and the Corowa throw-in.
Corowa throw-in. I'm wondering if maybe someone's foot was
Clark's
on the line.
I think as she rebounded, Izzy Byrne with an interception.
Wow, that was courageous. Her attack on the ball there to keep it in play and to have the smarts to swing that goal post to a shooter and Wang convert. That was a play of the day for sure from Izzy Byrne. It's a Corowa centre, but they're going to have it advanced as there's a breaking call, I think it was.
Can Corowa settle here? This will be interesting if the pressure gets
four goal lead to the Wang Magpies. 25 plays 21, and the pace of the ball and the intensity of the crowd has just lifted. If you're just joining us, we're in the third quarter of the preliminary final. The Corowa-Rutherglen Roos with the shot from Grace Senior going through have come back. They are within 3, 25 plays 22. The crowd here is building and the noise is building. It'll be interesting whether or not the rain holds off. The clouds are looking imminent. Izzy Byrne for the Magpies with the centre pass, gives off to Richards, gives off to Grady in goal defence, back to Richards. Genvy presenting forwards, gives off to Amy Byrne in that forwards position, and the hands of Larissy just so long and dominant as we see a body hit the deck. Genvy slow to get up, but she does, and I think maybe she's a little bit winded. She just held her chest there a little bit. Interesting, maybe a time call might be called here, and we may see Shay Crimmins back into that wing attack possession. Georgia Clark steady, calm.
She's got her hands up. I think she's winded. She's taking some
deep breaths, and that won't faze Leah Genvy though. She's strong, she's tenacious, and Chloe Senior gets us back underway with the high ball to Senior. Katie Dean front position. Just that height mismatch got Grace Senior that two hands on the ball.
Beautiful reach over the top. She is so strong in that position.
We are back to within 3, 26 plays, 23 here on the Martins Travel Group Albury, and there's a contact
hands out
call.
of play, so big call, and Wang need to get in there quickly. Do not let her Sophie have time to get in there, as they do go long to the pocket and straight into Amy Byrne, who converts. So
she is building into the game at the right time.
Couple of seconds here to go. Do the Roos have enough time to take their centre pass? It is released. there is not long. And there is the hooter to three-quarter time. So three-quarter time sees the Wang Magpies with a 4-goal lead, I believe. 27 plays 23 on the Martins Travel Group Albury scoreboard. We will be back after the break for the final quarter of this preliminary final.
How many subscriptions do you have? One for entertainment? And one for news? And meditation? One for sport? And one for music? Whatever you're into, you can now manage select paid subscriptions in one place and save up to 10% with Optus SubHub. Discover what's trending and save by bundling them all together. Streamline your subscriptions with Optus SubHub. It starts with yes.
Looking for somewhere great to eat? Check out Social Dining and Bar. And right now, you can get a seafood basket served with chips, salad and tartare sauce from just $18. Come and be part of it all at Social Dining and Bar at the SS&A.
GoTafe is hiring, and we want you on our team. Flexibility, professional development, generous remuneration, and a staff wellbeing program are just a few of the great benefits we offer. If you have a passion for your skill or qualification and you're looking for real work-life balance, then GoTafe is the place for you.
GoTafe is leading,
Inspiring.
hands-on,
Flexible. Fabulous.
We have dozens of trainer positions and corporate roles open right now. Get in touch today.
The new Nissan Navara has landed at McRae Nissan with a tougher, more rugged design, Nissan intelligent mobility, advanced off-road capabilities, and a host of on-road refinement. Test drive one today at McRae Nissan.
Adroit Insurance and Risk, your local insurance advisor, able to tailor insurance programs to support your business.
And we're proud to support our local community.
Pain or injury can stop you from living life to the fullest. Wangaratta Private Hospital specialises in advanced orthopaedic services and offers a full range of care from diagnosis to surgery and rehabilitation. Get back to the life you love with our support.
.0% alcohol. This changes everything. Rewrite the rules. Carlton 0.
At 2AY, we're your home of news, talk, sport and music.
We're community focused, passionate about our region and what makes it great.
We bring you the very latest news that matters, from breaking stories in your backyard to headlines and hot topics from around the country and around the world.
And on weekends, we live and breathe local sport and bring you exclusive live coverage.
1494 2AY. We're your local.
You're listening to O&M Live on 2AY.
Welcome back to O&M Live Netball. I'm Ree Dollahenty. Joining me in commentary today, Tamara Matthews and Tina Way. We're at the preliminary final, seeing the Wang Magpies and the Corowa-Rutherglen going into battle. Magpies leading 27 to the Roos 23. The last quarter whistle has gone and the Magpies get us underway with their centre pass. Genvi giving off to Grady on the transition and they are in their goal third. Byrne and Genvi teaming up to sister Amy Byrne. She steps in. That one-handed shot is good for her first goal of this fourth quarter, taking the Wang Magpies up to 28, a 5-goal lead. Roos with the centre pass to come, and the Roos have made a couple of positional changes. Grace Senior and Chloe Senior, the sisters in the shooting positions, have swapped, so Grace Senior is now out at goal attack and sister Grace Senior dropping into goal shooter as the pass goes from sister to sister. Hannah Grady out of play for an obstruction call. Chloe Senior with just her third goal of this game going into this fourth quarter. The only other notable change is that Sophie Hanrahan for the Roos has dropped from goal defence into goalkeeper, bringing Zali Spencer on in goal defence, and Jen Barrett has gone back to their interchange. The Magpies doing all they can in this attack. They're very patient and happy to pass it around, and Genvy now at the top of the circle gives the fading ball to Izzy Byrne into the pocket right in front of us. A refeed from sister Amy Byrne. She steps up, sinks, attempts to sink the ball, but a little bit of wind just gets in the way and it pops out. Zali Spencer with a one-handed rebound. And the contact, Genvy just coming in under the ball. I think she nearly coat-hanged herself then by
head clash between the two.
Head clash between the two. Hanrahan and Genvy just giving each other a pat on the back there, checking they're both okay. And the Roos with the attack. Spencer gives off to O'Keefe in wing attack to sister Grace Senior and Hanny Grady. That is a 3D Lanes highlight of the day. She had her 3 feet and Grace Senior opted to step into it and couldn't get the ball away.
And I was just saying off air that what Hannah Grady and Katie Dean have done so well is stay in play. Their obstruction has been, their hands over have been 3 feet. They've been able to stay on the body and apply the pressure without giving away
As
contact.
defenders, they have had minimal penalties all game, and it has really shown how strong they are down there.
And speaking of defenders, Em Larrasy's been very, very good in wing defence for the Roos, and she just got another hand on the ball as the ball went cross circle, which is dangerous at the best of times. And the long ball from Book Bice way away from circle edge gives to Grace Senior, but a footwork call first, and the crowd, will they get their team over the line? You can hear both teams, when the ball is on their turf, just start to fire up as we see another obstruction call through the centre court. Hannah Grady with the penalty pass gives off to Izzy Byrne, and they're in that centre channel now on the far channel of the court, furthest away from us. Genvy, double play to Byrne. Back out to sister Amy Byrne, and Izzy Byrne opting for the refeed from Richards. She looks back for the refeed again. Those long arms of the 3 Corowa-Rutherglen defenders getting in the way, and they look for the low ball to Genvy. Gives off to Clark. The refeed to Genvy is just probably a second too late.
Control is just phenomenal. She's really...
Izzy Byrne has been very good. Yes, the contact by the goal shooter there, really holding and pushing back into Zali Spencer there. Can Corowa score this goal and get some momentum their way?
Magpies, they're trying to make sure it's not each person having a player. Byrne with the hands over Bice. Grace Senior undefended. Grady opting to sink back into that goal circle. Both shooters now out of the circle. We don't see that very often from the Roos. Katie Dean coming forward, just pinpoint accuracy on the pass, and Grace Senior opting not to take the goal. She's taken the pass there to Senior. It's been tipped out of the baseline by the Magpies. So the Roos with possession again. The pass goes to Bice at the top of the circle, and the hands of Katie Dean again. This has got to be one of her best games of the year so far. Grady transitioning the ball, and the Roos really scattering in defence, but it is enough. They have turned over the ball again. So the 4th quarter action here for Insight Injury Clinic. 4-goal lead to the Wang Magpies, 28 plays 24. They have interrupted the attack of Corowa again. So can we see the Magpies get a settling goal here?
It is just frenetic. Both teams are absolutely going at it 110% as Wang get it through the mid-court. Genvy with the ball. They've got on the transfers. This is where they've been struggling to get it forward. But Amy Byrne drives out and draws a contact. She now has the ball under the post. She takes the shot and sinks it for Wang. So Wang moved to 29, leading Corowa 24 on the X-Ray Group scoreboard, but it's a Corowa centre.
And we've nearly played already 5 minutes of play for not a lot of goals. It is just such a defensive game. Both teams causing the other to make lots and lots of errors. Grace Senior, though, all the space in the world on the baseline. This time she turns and shoots, and that is why she just needs to do that, because it's so beautifully executed. We see a 4-goal lead here to the Wang Magpies, 29 plays 25 on the X-Ray Group scoreboard. Byrne gives off to Richards, back to Byrne, the double play. Brooke Bice has just kind of stepped off Izzy Byrne a little bit. She's looking like she's slowed down just a little bit. The pace of this game has been frenetic, as Tam Matthews alluded to before. Georgia Clark and so Hanrahan battling, and the crowd don't like it, but Georgia Clark passes off to Amy Byrne, finding space herself, and Byrne opts for the pass to Georgia Clark, who nets. So both shooters at both ends doing the bulk of the shooting today. Roos with the centre pass, Brooke Bice giving it off to Grace Senior, fading defence from Izzy Byrne. She tried but couldn't quite get their strength from. Brooke Bice gives the pass in, and Hannah Grady out of play. Grace Senior netting her 23rd
Grace Senior really
goal.
stepping up. She is the key now at goal attack, and she have the calming influence and the drive.
She is,
to
and
get
she's
Corowa back in front.
And she's got great defensive pressure. She may turn some balls over as Wayne get it to circle edge. Genevieve goes out to Amy Byrne. They're back off the circle as they just try and find someone open. Georgia Clark front, ends up with the ball, steps in under the post and puts it up for Wayne. So they maintain their lead. They go to 31, Corowa 26 on the X-Ray Group scoreboard as Brooke Bice finds Maddie O'Keefe off the line. They're on the transverse, but Chloe Senior, nice drive out, and Grace just pops forward for a nice easy pass and puts it away. Much easier transition there.
And that's the damage she can do, just turning and shooting. It's often when Grace second guesses and takes that extra second. Genvy, though, she eludes those arms in the defence of M. Larissy. Coming through again, Richards to Genvy. They are in their goal third now. Can they get it in for another goal? Genvy looking back to Grady again, always on that sideline. Transverse, giving off to Genvy, and Byrne, she's just driving in and out and in and out. Opting for the refeed back to Byrne. A little bit of a head knock there, an incidental one. It's in the pocket now, and Byrne coming forward. Georgia Clark is just standing up so strong, presenting.
Oh, no, she's hurt herself.
And we think there may be an injury, an awkward landing from her.
Looks like her knee
Let's
collapsed
hope
underneath
if
her.
there is not an injury. She's sucking in the air. Umpire's time, which is good. They're just giving her the time to check that it is okay. The score reading here, 31 plays 27 on the X-Ray Group scoreboard. We have 7.5 minutes to play on the Jacob Toyota used cars time clock and an umpire's time. We see Georgia Clark just sucking in the air, an awkward fall here.
She doesn't look like she's going to move in any way, shape,
What?
or form, does she?
No, her knee just buckled underneath her as she tried to pick up the ball. It does not look great at all.
And I bet they're wishing that Amanda Yamensky, who's coming out to help her, could pop on a bib, but they're going to have to take her off. So disappointing for Wangaratta, but they'll bring on Rochelle Petts, who's spent plenty of time on the A-grade court.
And has plenty of finals experience as well. And
so she'll go into the goal shooter role. Amy Byrne will stay goal attack, and Corowa will opt to change their defenders. So Sophie will go back to goal defence. Zali Spencer goalkeeper.
It's going to be very interesting now. Amy Byrne is really going to have to drive that circle because the lack of height of losing Georgia is going to be very difficult for this Magpies front.
And Corowa will have to adjust too because Georgia has been playing a very specific style, and obviously these two, they're shorter, they're going to be rotating probably a lot more and coming forward. So Corowa will have to make some adjustments, but that's a crucial moment.
We are back under play, and it will be interesting to see if the Magpies can get up from this injury. She is walking around. We can see Georgia Clark. Maybe it's just one of those things, needs a couple of minutes just to see. But the defence of the Magpies sees Grace Senior falling out of court and can't get the goal in. We have a Magpies penalty in the circle. Katie Dean will reset. She's been instrumental in that defence end for the Magpies today. And Byrne coming through the contact of Bice, though, slows the ball down, giving the opportunities for the Magpies to reset and the Roos to reset, everyone having a player on court. But Grady, that transitional drive, the ball just a little bit too big, but she regains possession. And this will be where the Magpies will have to do the work just to get the ball into that circle and get it in cleanly. We've spoken about kind of the mismatch in height between a few of these attackers, but Genvy and Bice, they're...
And look, they haven't been able to go over Sophie to Georgia as it is. So, you know, not a lot probably needs to change here. As Rochelle Pett, smart little pass over the top to Amy Byrne. She's managed to get hands to it and gets the penalty contact. So she's going to put it up from right under the post.
And Pett's there, clever play from her. Byrne reaching down and a goal from her. They extend their lead, 32 plays 27 here on the X-Ray Group scoreboard. We have just about 6 minutes to play on the Jacob Toyota used cars time clock. We've seen an injury to the Magpies causing a change in their attack end. Grace Senior gives off to Hanrahan on the line, and Hannah Grady. Well done, and that is a credit to Hannah Grady. She went hunting for that ball. She got back in play, but by then the pass had gone. So the Roos again leaving a shot gone. Orion Richards gives off to Byrne, gives off to sister Amy Byrne, and Izzy Byrne trying to hit circle edge. Genvy and Izzy Byrne turning, resetting the ball again as they have all day. High ball to Richards on the transverse line, giving off to Genvy and Byrne. She's looking down. Rochelle Petts came out then, and there the pass opens up to Izzy Byrne on circle edge. Amy Byrne trying to use that ring, but there's a contact goal. Sally Spencer deemed to be over the player there of Rochelle Petts. She passes out, takes the front ball, and they opt for the refeed again. I guess when you've got the lead as well, clever to play with a bit of the time here. They've already run down a minute on the court.
She did.
But it looked like the turnover, but the offside call first. So the Magpies here using the ball to their advantage. Byrne happy to give off onto the transverse again and reset. Rochelle Petts, goal shooter, way out of range for scoring. Gives off to Amy Byrne and Genvy, and gives the ball in now. Izzy Byrne giving to Amy Byrne, a clever pass there, and Zali Spencer contact on the ball. So Amy Byrne with the shot, and it slides down. Sophie Hanrahan, those long arms for the rebound. That's really going to be the hard part for the Magpies in these dying minutes.
It is, and you can see the effort they're putting in just to get it in as Corowa find the circle
again.
edge.
Hannah Grady.
Just got that past Katie Dean, and the little quick pass back to Grace Senior. Sees her put one in for Corowa. So they go to 28, trailing Wang 32. On the X-ray group scoreboard, it's a Wangaratta centre. So they had to work very hard for that centre, Corowa. It was a long time coming. As Grace Senior.
Defensive work again.
That's the damage she can do in that goal attack role. Here come the Roos. Bice gives off to Grace Senior. From position, Hannah Grady with the tip over Chloe Senior. The defenders for the Magpies working tirelessly. Chloe Senior giving off to Bice, or O'Keefe it is, and the ball is spilt out again. So the Magpies on the attack. And Genvy, that drive. I wish Amy Byrne had driven to her then, because she had all the space in front of her, but she opted to kind of control the play.
Amy Byrne's going to have to go and go and go again, because they're getting stuck, three attacking plays outside the circle for far too long.
And she has to go.
Giving that ball off.
She'll take Sophie with her and leave Rochelle in a one-on-one. It's when they're getting
another turnover.
Get a turnover on the circle and attempt to take it forward. So Grace Senior's high. She looks for Sophie Hanrahan. We're down to within the last 3 minutes. Corowa have the ball on their transverse. They find Chloe in the circle. Over the top to Grace. She pops it in under the post. So Corowa go to 29, trailing Wangaratta 32.
And a time call here. Leah Genvy calling time. The swap with Shay Crimmins coming on into wing attack. So both co-coaches, Hannah Grady, Shay Crimmins on the court now for the Magpies. The Magpies leading 32-29. Maddie O'Keefe in wing attack for the Roos, giving off to Grace Senior. Far away from the ring. Opts for the pass back to Soph Hanrahan. Amy Byrne having a really good dig at it. Maddie O'Keefe, though, for the Roos in possession, gives off to Brooke Bice. And again, Magpies making it hard for the Roos to get it in, but it is in the circle now. Chloe Senior opting for the ball out. And Katie Dean again. She and Hannah Grady in that goal circle have just defended their hearts out. Crimmins, very clever from her. She knew she was off balance, giving the ball off to Byrne. Petts here coming out of the circle. Ball to Crimmins, to Petts, and there the space has opened up. Amy Byrne playing like a really tall goal shooter, and the ball dropping in.
Back
so
to
the Magpies
centre.
Back in possession of their centre. 33 plays 29 here on the X-Ray Group scoreboard. About a minute and a half to play. Can the Magpies hold this lead? And the Roos, they've got the contact call going their way. Hanrahan getting them into play, and the ball hands over. It will be which team can just really hang on. A long ball to Chloe Senior coming out of the top of the circle. Grace Senior asking for it. Dean with the hands over pressure, and Senior, long ball can't drop.
No.
Byrne offside.
She went offside.
So she's pointed that maybe she's tripped. Corowa possession of Grace Senior. She can't shoot this one. That's a pass only, and pass she does. sister Chloe with the shot, and the shot is good. We have a 3-goal ball game at 33 plays 30 here on the X-Ray Group scoreboard. And a centre pass for the Roos. We have about 45 seconds to play. Grady doing all she can. Clever pass by Senior. And the Roos with the goal, 2 goals here, 33 plays 31. Wangaratta just have to really hold their centre and hold the ball. The crowd is getting loud. This score replicates the defensive nature of this game. The Magpies playing it around. Byrne gives off to Crimmins. Roos, all hands are over. Grady on the transfer.
They're very relaxed.
They're very relaxed. They're
Yeah.
just holding on, and with that 2-goal advantage,
needs to keep
the time is ticking. Byrne gives off to Grady on the transverse line to Crimmins.
They've done enough.
They may have done enough here. Tam
that's
Matthews, you've called it. Byrne gives off to Byrne. Back to Byrne. Can the ball come into the circle for one final goal before the Hooter signs? There is not many seconds left. Magpies, a credit to them, have just played this ball around. Roos trying to get the intercept. Crimmins with the ball off the circle, gives to Grady. And the Magpies have done it. 2 goals. 33 defeating the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos 31. What a game, particularly with that injury to Georgia Clark in goal shooter.
And watching Georgia Clark in the background, she cannot even wait there on that knee over there. It's buckling underneath her. The Wang Magpies held off 6 minutes, I think, and really still had control of the game.
Oh my goodness, everyone's breath is taken away as Tam Matthews will go and retrieve our player of the day, both teams in their huddle. Well, it will be the Wangaratta Magpies to take on the Yarrawonga Pigeons next week in the grand final. Sad for the Roos. They've bowed out, as we call it, in straight sets, and you can see the disappointment, but the elation in the Magpies is very clear. And Katie Dean, our player of the day today, will just head out that way in front of the camera. Katie, exceptional work from you. Exceptional work from your team. You and Hannah Grady in that circle, just phenomenal.
Oh, I think the word team is correct. Such a team effort, and so proud of every single person in our team today, whether they were on the court or playing that role on the bench. And I'm just so proud of this group.
And you were just effortless today, coming forward for the ball, really attacking when you need to. And we commented on air that you hadn't really had to go to that 2-on-1 a lot with Grace because the way that you two were working that attack line. Was that part of the plan to try not to fall to the 2-on-1?
Yeah, it certainly was. Lots of things that we worked on during the week, and that was one of them as well. And everyone's stepping up and playing their role, and that's what it is about team sports. And I think everyone did their role today, and so that's what makes it for the team.
And Katie, how important were those other finals you've played, where they've been tight games and you've had to dig deep, and as you said, as a team, you've really had to come together. The faith you have in each other is just amazing to watch.
Trust is the word that we've been using a little bit, that we trust each other. We know what our job is. If we all do it, then we can rely on each other to step up in those moments and to take a breath and reset. So.
3rd grand final in a row, wow.
Your penalty count, I'd love to watch the replay and do a penalty count of you and Hannah. It was so low today. I think that definitely helped you turn so much more ball and keep sending it down to your attack line. The defensive effort was wonderful in there. Did it feel good? Could you feel it in the game?
Yeah, it did, but I think finals games are so different. You just got to take the win, but move on to the next ball because it's coming back, and every opportunity you get, you just got to go and then reset for the next one.
Yeah, you're a great defensive unit there in together. It was wonderful to watch.
And also a massive credit to your team. Obviously, that injury to Georgia Clark, that took all of our breath away. I think everyone watching today, so we wish Georgia all the best. And Rochelle Petts did a great job coming on, and probably just the calmness of everyone around just took a breath and just rode with it because it can be so alarming and disjointing.
Definitely, and Shell is just a level-headed player, and she's someone that was come onto the court, see it for what it is, and know that she's got a great opportunity, and she took it today and she did her job for the team.
Well, Katie Dean, our player of the day, congratulations. You get to have a stab at the Yarrawonga Pigeons next week in another grand final. So congratulations to you, congratulations to your team, and all the best for next week.
Thank you so much.
Well done, Katie.
Thanks,
that has been the Wangaratta Magpies clinching the win over the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos, 31-33. That just shows how defensive
It was
that
so
game
defensive.
was.
We discussed that before the game. Both goalkeepers for both sides turned the ball constantly, and it kept going backwards and forwards. And sometimes we had passages of play, it'd be 3 minutes before anyone scored a goal.
Yeah, it was huge, and I think Em Larissy was outstanding for Corowa. Her defensive pressure all over the court. You know,
Yes.
you could not fault that.
I'd say she was Corowa's best today.
Yeah. But you just saw as we said, those early finals and that Wang have had, I think, really held them in good stead today. And as Katie said, the trust they have in each other is just it's great to see. And I think teams can really aspire to that.
Well, as always, big thank you to our sponsors, to you, Tina Way, and once again to you, Tamara Matthews. We look forward to next Sunday's grand final where the Yarrawonga Pigeons will take on the Wangaratta Magpies. We really hope that injury to Georgia Clark isn't severe and she can get up, because she's been instrumental in this final season for the Magpies. This has been the Wangaratta Magpies clinching the win over the Corowa-Rutherglen Roos. Continue to have your dial turned to 1494 2AY, or head to our live stream to watch the preliminary final action between the Yarrawonga Pigeons and the Wangaratta Rovers. The winner once again keeping their season alive and taking on the minor premiers Wangaratta Magpies in next week's grand final. My name is Rita Lahenti. This is O&M Live Netball, proudly brought to you by McRae Motors. This is O&M Live. On an O&M Live, you won't miss a thing.
How many subscriptions do you have? One for entertainment? And one for news? And meditation? One for sport? And one for music? Whatever you're into, you can now manage select paid subscriptions in one place and save up to 10% with Optus SubHub. Discover what's trending and save by bundling them all together. Streamline your subscriptions with Optus SubHub. It starts with yes.
Looking for somewhere great to eat? Check out Social Dining and Bar. And right now, you can get a seafood basket served with chips, salad and tartare sauce from just $18. Come and be part of it all at Social Dining and Bar at the SS&A.
GoTafe is hiring, and we want you on our team. Flexibility, professional development, generous remuneration and a staff wellbeing program are just a few of the great benefits we offer. If you have a passion for your skill or qualification and you're looking for real work-life balance, then GoTafe is the place for you.
GoTafe is leading,
Inspiring.
hands-on,
Flexible. Fabulous.
We have dozens of trainer positions and corporate roles open right now. Get in touch today.
The new Nissan Navara has landed at McRae Nissan with a tougher, more rugged design, Nissan intelligent mobility, advanced off-road capabilities, and a host of on-road refinement. Test drive one today at McRae Nissan.
Adroit Insurance and Risk, your local insurance advisor, able to tailor insurance programs to support your business.
And we're proud to support our local community.
Pain or injury can stop you from living life to the fullest. Wangaratta Private Hospital specialises in advanced orthopaedic services and offers a full range of care from diagnosis to surgery and rehabilitation. Get back to the life you love with our support.
Zero 0.0% alcohol. This changes everything. Rewrite the rules. Carlton Zero.
At 2AY, we're your home of news, talk, sport and music.
We're community focused, passionate about our region and what makes it great.
We bring you the very latest news that matters, from breaking stories in your backyard to headlines and hot topics from around the country and around the world.
And on weekends, we live and breathe local sport and bring you exclusive live coverage.
1494 2AY. We're your local.